Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, the last daf of Maseches Kesubos. This is really amazing. Daf Kuf Yud Beis, we made it all the way, 112 dafim, 111 dafim, and it's very exciting to be concluding Maseches Kesubos. Tomorrow, hopefully, we're starting Maseches Nedarim, Masech that talks about making vows and forbidding yourselves in certain things, or as I like to say, making extra chumras in your life. We'll talk more about that. It's going to be a very entertaining set of shiurim, Masechs and Darim. The dafim are really small. I want to dedicate part of the shiur to entertainment, the first 5 minutes. I'm going to try to have a lot of fun during Masechs and Darim, extra time, because my shiur is not supposed to be more than 30 minutes. So the shiur should take approximately 10 minutes. So I'll have plenty of time to make you laugh and have a good time also. Let's finish Maseches Kesubos, and in a separate video we'll have the siyum hopefully today on Maseches Kesubos. I'm serving margaritas. It's just, I think people in the cold here are used to types of things like that. Some days there's martinis, some days there's sidecars, some days they have cosmopolitans. Today, just for the change of pace, I gave them margaritas. I got my tequila. Got my triple sec, and I have lime juice brought to my parents directly from America. You can't find lime juice so easily here in Israel, only lemon juice. Let's get started. The bottom of Kufid Aleph and Beis on the bottom. Second to last line. Amar Reish Lakish. The third to last line. Amar Rav Yaakov ben Dustai Milud Laono Shlosha Milin. From a place in Lud. Lud is a place, Lod here in Israel. Ono. There's also a place to Ono, right? Kiryat Ono here in Israel. Shoshan Milin. The time it takes you to get there is 3 million. The distance is 3 million. 3 mil is either a mile or a kilometer. If I walked at dawn, I don't know, he was walking there. Apparently, they didn't have a chance to clear out the dvash, the honey that dripped from the figs, or from the dates. It went up to his ankles. I saw the amount of the mixture of honey and milk in Sipori, which is a city in the Galilee. The amount of milk mixed with honey was 16 mil by 16 mil. It's a pretty large space, whether a mil is a mile or a kilometer. I saw the entire amount of dvash and chalav mixed in Eretz Yisrael, top of Kuf Yud Beis and Aleph, the Havi, Kimibei, Michsi, and Akra, the Tolbanki. These are places in Bavel. It was such a big distance that it filled up the amount of space between Akra, Bei Michsi, and Akra to Tolbanki. Go check the map for Iraq and talk to Lipa Schmelzer and Shlomi Zions. They'll tell you exactly where in Iraq you can find Bei Michsi at Akra to Tolbanki. Shlomi Zions took a trip with Lipa Schmelzer to Iraq because they thought that the Gemara was learned in Bavel. One day I might have to tell them that Bavel is not really Iraq. Chav Beis Parsi, how big was it? Chav Beis Parsi, Orcho, Pusya, Shisa Parsi. 22 parsos. A parso is 4 mil. So that'd be 22 times 4, which would be 88. The length, Pusya, Shisa, and the width was 6 parsos, which is 24 mil, 24 miles. Rabbi Chelbo, Rabbi Avira, Rabbi Yosef ben Chanina, Iklo Lahu Asra. Certain rabbis, they came to a certain place in Eretz Yisrael. Aisu Kamayu Afar Saka. They brought a peach in front of them. The Hava Ki Ilpus Kfar Hino. It was the size of a frying pan in the place Kfar Hino. How big is that? Ilpus Kfar Hino Kama. How big is a frying pan? I mean, how big can you make a frying pan? Apparently, heavy Chamesh Sain. It was so big you can fit 5 saw of food in there, which is a pretty substantial amount. Achlu Shlish, they ate a third of the peach. Hefkiru Shlish, a third of it they made hefker, ownerless. Vinas Lifnei Behemtan Shlish, they gave to their animals. They were bringing their dogs with them. I don't know. They gave their animals Shlish with their Lashana the next year. Ikla Rabbi Lezer came to the same town. I said the Kameh. They brought a peach in front of him. Nakabiyadi Amar Eretz Pri Lamalecha Mira Yoshveba. Apparently, the beach was a normal sized beach. And he said, people who sin, we're going to see soon about the bracha, the time Klal Yisrael is living in Eretz Yisrael and doing Ratzon Hashem. There's extreme blessing in the agriculture of Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Pri, the land that produced such beautiful fruits, Malecha Mira Yoshveba, it turned into salty fruits, or not such huge fruits, because of the sins, the Ra of the people who live there. My father always says that, during the years where Israel was in the hands of the Ottoman Empire, controlled by the Arabs for many years, it wasn't in control of the Jews. It didn't produce so much. The land was not so successful agriculturally. Today, as we know, people can take off a year of Shemitah. It's a big thing over here. Just had Shemitah. And still, there's plenty of abundance in Eretz Yisrael because there's a substantial Jewish population here. Some of them are doing Ratzon Hashem, some not. We don't know what Ratzon Hashem is. We'll talk more about Ratzon Hashem in Ian with Ben Sion, the last Ian with Ben Sion, second Kesubos. Rabbi Shua ben Levi ikla legavla. Rabbi Shua ben Levi came place in Gavla. Chazmu lahana ketufi dahabu kaimi keikla legavla was another place in Eretz Yisrael. He saw that clusters of grapes that were like the size of calves, right, of baby cows. Amar Agolim ben Akfanim. He said he thought they were really cows. Are there cows amongst the grapes? Amar like ketufin inu. He said no, they're not actually calves. They're clusters of grapes. Amar Eretz Achnisi perosayach. He gave a curse to Eretz Yisrael. He said you shouldn't produce such big fruits. L'miad motzia perosayach. Apparently, this is a point in history where the Arabs were controlling our volume. If you're producing such huge fruits for the Arabs, these people who stand up against us. Usually Arabs are against the Jews, not all of them. The next year, Reb Chia came to the place in Eretz Yisrael. He saw the clusters of grapes. They weren't as big as cows. They're as big as goats. Amar Iziman Akbanim. Are there goats among the clusters of grapes? They said, get away from us. Don't do us a klala like your friend did. Because, having clusters of grapes the size of goats is not sufficient. They wanted those calves. Just to show you how plentiful Eretz Yisrael is when there is bracha, a besa, small amount of land, it produces 5,000. Chameshes ribo, 50,000. I'm sorry. Chamesha ribo is 10,000. 50,000 kurin. Kurin is 30 saw. Right? That amount of crop is able to produce, I guess, 500, more than 500,000. It would be 500,000 times 30, which would be 150,000, 1.5 million, the amount of its space. B'shivasha shall so on. When Soan, which is a big city, a famous city in Mitzrayim, Beisa Osa Shivas Kurim. Even when it was in its heyday, Soan only produced for Beisa only Shiva Kurim, which was 1/7, or a little less than 1/7 of Eretz Yisrael. The Tanya, Amar Meir says, I never received Bikas Beishan. Beishan is placed near Tiberia. Apparently, it's a machlokas in the Gemara and Chulin, whether it was outside of Eretz Yisrael or inside of Eretz Yisrael. Beisa Osa Shiva Kurim. We're assuming now it's outside of Israel, so therefore Beisa produced 7 kurim. Outside of Eretz Israel, the most plentiful land, the most fertile land is Egypt. Like the Garden of Hashem, it compares the Garden of Hashem to Eretz Mitzrayim. The best, the most fertile land in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, is Soan. To have Barba Malachim. It was so fertile, it was such a precious land. There they would anoint kings. You'll see but Soan Sarav. And so on, they would appoint the ministers to the government. There's no place with worse soil, more rocky soil. Hebron is the worst soil. That's where they bury dead people. Hebron nonetheless was 7 times as good as so on. The pasuk in Chumash says Hebron was built. We'll see in a second what this means. 7 years before so on. Mitzrayim, which is a city in Mitzrayim. My Nimnasa, what does it mean it was built? Nimnasa Mamish, it was actually built up, right? They settled the city 7 years before, so on. If you have two sons, right, you want to pay for his house. First, you pay for the oldest one, and then you pay for the youngest one. Cham, which is one of the three sons of Noah, Cush Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim was his second son. Canaan, which is Eretz Yisrael, seemingly, which is his fourth son. So it must be he built Soan before Hebron. Nimnasa means that it was built up, meaning it produced more fruits and vegetables 7 times and so on. That's Hebron, where it was bad soil, it was rocky soil. So in if it wasn't rocky land, then it would be Chamish Meah. Like we said, it would be 50,000 kurin. It would be Chamish Meah. It's opposed to 7. It would produce 500. Meaning, in Hebron it was 7 times. So 7 kur times 7 is 49. The rest of Eretz Yisrael is 500, right? A lot more. That's talking about the time Eretz Yisrael wasn't blessed. When it is blessed, Yitzchak planted in a certain place, and he got, it says in Parshas, one of the Parshas in Bereshit, we'll get to it soon, he Mea Sharim he planted. He got 100 times what he planted. So therefore it's 100 times 500. It's a huge number. Tanya Amar Yossi Sab Yehuda Haisa Osa Chamish Soin. It used to be, if you planted a saw of wheat in Yehuda, it would make 5 soin. Saw kema, saw of regular flour, saw of solas, 1 saw of fine flour, saw of subin, one saw of bran, saw of morsin, 1 saw of coarse bran, saw kiburia, 1 saw of kiburia. I don't know what this is exactly. I would say it's like semolina, which you make pasta out of. A certain Saduki said, it's good that you praise Eretz Yisrael. Right? One amount of saw, one parcel of land. From that I got my oil. From that I got my wine. Right? From there I got my grain. From there I got my legumes. From there I'm able to use whatever's there to graze my flock. A certain Amorite who were living in Eretz Yisrael. Where the Amori are exactly, I don't know. Are they Jordan? Are they Yemen? I don't know exactly where Amorim are. Amorim and Moab. I would say Ammon. These were nations that they conquered in the Chumash. I would say Ammon is Amman, Jordan, Amman. I don't exactly know where Edom and Moab are, but there are certain surrounding areas. So he said to a person from a Jew, he said to him, Lebar Yisrael, Hai Talsa, the Kaimi Aguda, the Yardana, Kama Gadrisu Mine. There was a certain palm tree that was sitting on the bank of the Jordan River. How much were you able to harvest from it? Amalei Shisin Kuri, 60 kur, which is a lot, right? 60 kur, each kur is 30 sa. Amalei Akati La Elisuba Acharivuse, right? You haven't settled in Eretz Yisrael, you destroyed it. Anan may have Eshem Kuri. We, the Amorites, before you took over the land from us, we used to take from this same palm tree 120 kur. Amalei Ana Nami Michad Gisa Kaminala. He's saying, no, really, we still have the same amount. I'm talking about 60 kur from one side. From the other side, I also get 60 kur. It would be the exact same thing as you. Hashem says, I'm going to give you a precious land. Nachal Asvi, the inheritance of a deer. Lama Yisrael Nimshal Tzvi. Why is Yisrael compared to a deer? Right? A deer, its hide, its skin, is not able to contain its meat. What does this mean? Rashi says it means after you flay the skin shrinks. I would say even when it's alive, right? Its skin is very tight on the deer, as opposed to other animals where it's more loose-fitted. Eretz Yisrael, the payros are so big, it's more than Eretz Yisrael can hold. Svi is very, right? Kal could Svi, right? They run very fast. It's quicker than other lands in order to ripen its fruits. Everybody, Svi, venison, right? It's fast. Venison is not fatty meat. Not that I've tasted venison. One day I'd like to taste venison. It's kosher. After Israel, you might think Eretz Israel, it ripens the fruits quickly, but they don't taste so good. They're richer, they're fatter than milk, and they're sweeter than honey. Rabbi Elazar Israel, when he got to Eretz Israel, Amar Palti li michada. When I got to Eretz Israel, I was saved from one of the curses. We'll see there are 3 curses that he was saved from. Kisamchu, when he became a rabbi, Amar Palti li mitarte. I've been saved from 2 curses. Kesubos when he became one of the big rabbis, they put on the Moetzes Chachmei Yisrael, Gedolei Torah. Right, he was sitting in Soda Ibor. He was intercalating, how do I pronounce it? Calculating the years to see when they should make a leap year. Amar Paltili Mitlas. Once he got to that level, he said, I was saved from all 3 curses. Shenemar, what's the pasuk? Hashem says, I'm going to punish in the Nevi'im that give false nevuah. Besod amilo you. So what does the pasuk say? Besod amilo you. They shouldn't be among the secrets of my nation. Zeh soda ibor, right? Being part of determining when is a leap year. So he became part of that. So he was here from that because so based Israel they won't be written among the writings of people of Klal Yisrael Zeh Smicha, right? When you become a rabbi, they write a document for you, right? So when you become a lawyer, they write, a letter certifying that you're certified to be a lawyer or a doctor. People put those up in plaques in their office. So too here also. You get smicha, they write, and you get your smicha. Admas certification of smicha. Admas Yisrael lo yavo, the 3rd curse, they shouldn't come to the land of Israel. Kamashmo, as it sounds, coming to Israel. I came to Israel. I was saved from all 3 curses. Rabbi Zera Kavasal to Israel. Zera, who lived in Babel, when he would go visit Israel, Ashkach Ma'avra L'Ma'avar, or actually was making Aliyah, he couldn't find a ferry to take him over the Jordan River. Nachap a mitzvah, he held on to a rope, and he was using to carry over a piece of wood for his feet. The Ka'avar, and he was passing over. Amrle Utsaduki, Amma Paziza, the Kamisu Pumaihul Naihu. You're a nation which is impetuous. You just act quickly, right? Your mouth comes for what you hear, right? We said Nasim and Ishmael, we'll do and we'll hear. Akasi Sizu Saichi Kaimisu, you're still impetuous, you act too quickly. Wait for the ferry, wait a couple of minutes. Amrle Dokta Moshe Aaron Lazachula. Moshe Aaron weren't Zocha to be buried in Israel. Ana Miyemar Zachino. How do I know I'll be fit to enter Eretz Israel? Therefore, I'm trying to get there as quickly as possible. People really tried out very hard over the generations to come to Eretz Israel. The famous story with the Vilna Gaon. He tried to leave Vilna, which was Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, try to make it to Eretz Israel. He had to turn back. Whatever reason, he didn't end up going there. He ended up making it. It's very hard to live in Eretz Israel. Big zechus to live in Eretz Israel. I'm very proud of it. It's great to live in Eretz Israel for many reasons. We'll talk about why I think that at a different time. Rabbi Abba, although I will admit, I do miss certain foods and certain luxuries and certain gashmis and materialism there is in America. But hey, America could be Bavel, could be Eretz Israel. England could be Eretz Israel. Eretz Canaan could be, we don't know. I'm saying Canaan could be Germany, Eretz Canaan, canines, right? German shepherds, Eretz Canaan, German shepherd, Germany. All right. Telling you too many secrets over here. All right. Eretz Yisrael. It sounds like Eretz Yisrael. The cedars, Erez. Erez sounds like Erez, the cedars of Yisrael. There was a person who came, there's a famous news agency in the world, more famous than the Associated Press in the world. It's not called Reuters, it's called Reuters, Reuters. It was founded by a Jew from Germany who eventually moved to England. His name was Yisrael. Right? Eretz Yisrael, the Caesars is entertainment. He provides entertainment. It used to be that was the entertainment people had to read the newspaper. So he moved to England. Reuters news agency based in England. Eretz Yisrael. All right. I told my father that if I was crazy, that's way over my head. That, yeah, most of the things I say are way over people's heads. Well, I'll have to talk more about that going forward. Rabbi Abba Menashe Kipi Da'ako. Rabbi Abba would kiss the Kipi Da'ako. There's two explanations in Rashi. Rashi says he would kiss the rocks of Akko, right? Akko is right next to the Mediterranean. He would cross over, I guess, from Greece or something like that. He was in Greece. Yeah, they weren't in Bavel. They weren't in Iraq. They were in Europe. They weren't. Bavel's not. Bavel is is not Iraq. I don't think they lived in Iraq. I mean, they definitely were Jews at that point living in those countries, but I don't know if Bavel really means Iraq. Rabbi Abba Menashe Kipi Akko. Anyway, in Akko, definitely Akko is a place here in Israel, the north, Akri. He would kiss the rocks there. Rashi said Dirim Shan Al Mugim. Really means the coral. I guess on the sea, there's coral, on the Mediterranean, on the shore there. I always used to think that almogim was trees. It is a type of cedar, maybe. 10 types of cedar trees, like Gemara Shana says. I think one of them is almogim. I'm going to talk more why I thought it was trees and how it relates to my life. I have a very personal story to tell you in Iyot Ben Sion. It's the last daf of Kesubos, so I'll tell you a short idea. Ian, and I want to tell you a nice story, a personal story of my life that I learned from this Gemara, and I try to put this Gemara to use. Rechanina Masakin Miskali. Rechanina, when he was living in Eretz Yisrael, he tried to fix the roads. If there were roads with ditches in them, he tried to fix it so people could live in Eretz Yisrael. We mentioned, walking 4 Amos in Eretz Yisrael is a mitzvah. Rabbi Yasi, top of Kufyud Beis and Beis, Kaimi Mishimshal Atula Matula Shimsha. They didn't want to think bad of Eretz Yisrael, so therefore, when they were learning in the sun, they would go to the shade, or when they were in the shade, they would go to the sun. Or Mechia Bar Gamda, Megander Ba'afra, he would roll in the dirt of Eretz Yisrael. Shnemar, Kiratu Adachas Hamanah. Your servants, they loved even the stones, Vesafar Yechonenu, even the dust, and found grace in their eyes. Amar Uzair, Amar Yirmiyah Bar Abba, Dar Sheben David Ba, Kategoria B'Talmid Yechamim. The generation of Mashiach, there'll be significant rebuke, say not nice things about Talmidei Chachamim. Ki Amrisa Kamei Shmuel Amar Tziruf Achar Tziruf. Not only will be saying bad things, but it'll be like when you take metal and you put it in fire in order to change the structure or the state of the metal, the shape of the metal. That's what it'll be for like Talmidei Chachamim. You'll put them through fire. You only have a tenth left. Even though there's only a tenth left of Talmidei Chachamim, right, you'll still try to burn them. Tani Rabbi Yosef, bezuze, plunderers and plunderers of plunderers, or maybe bezuze means actually embarrassing them. So we're talking about maybe negative things. Now the Gemara returns to a positive thing. It'll be in the future, Yemos Mashiach, that even trees that are normally barren, that don't produce fruits, they will produce fruits. Eitz, right? The second part of the pasuk is talking about fig trees and grapevines, so they'll, right, produce fruits. The first part of the pasuk, Eitz Nasa Piryo, a regular tree that doesn't normally produce fruits, will, in fact, in the time of Mashiach, produce fruits. Hadron alach shei daini gzeiros v'slikala Maseches Kesubos. Amazing, we've done it. Maseches Kesubos, 112 blot. Really extraordinary accomplishment. Now, 2 Masechtas in Seder Nashmi, one was Kesubos. One was obviously a little harder than Kesubos. Kesubos is not an easy Masechta. It's called Shas Katan. Some people call it Shas Katan. So you've learned a little bit of Shas. Now you gotta stay with me for the rest of Shas. Stay tuned for 2 things today. We got Iyot Ben Sion. I'll talk more, a little bit of Ian on this daf. Not too much to be my ayin over here, but I will also end with a fascinating story that relates to this Gemara, a personal story in my life. And we'll also be making a separate video. Hopefully we'll do a siyum with some of my friends over here. We're serving margaritas. It's going to be a blast. As you know, everything that involves me involves entertainment. You don't want to miss it. See you in Iyot Ben Sion and the Grand Siyum coming up next.